Is Starlink the right internet solution for your RV or boat travels?
This is our overview video looking at Starlink from a big picture view to help you decide, is Starlink right for you?
Hi there, I'm Cherie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the founders of the Mobile Internet Resource Center, where since 2013, we have been helping our RVing and boating community figure out their right mobile internet solutions for whether it's working remotely, keeping entertained, navigating to the next location. And Starlink has obviously become one of the top options. You say mobile internet in any RVing forum, and people are going to answer Starlink. We're going to go over the pros and cons so that you can go in eyes wide open as to if Starlink is the right solution or part of your solution for your mobile internet. But first, what is Starlink?
So Starlink, for those who've been living under a rock, is a new type of satellite constellation brought out by SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, that uses low Earth orbit satellites. So satellites much lower and lower to the ground than the traditional geostationary satellites that are 26,000 miles up over the equator. Now, the big difference between LEO and GEO, and we're going to summarize this really quickly, is the low Earth orbit satellites, it takes a lot of them, sometimes hundreds or thousands, to provide global coverage because they're always moving across the sky. They're low down. This has a huge advantage over the GEO satellites, which are further away, which means your data going back and forth has more latency. So those are single satellites that you aim at, versus LEO satellites have flat dishes that auto-track multiple satellites at once and connect to them. And that makes for a completely different and very practical type of satellite connection that is just now taking over the world.
And like every mobile internet solution that we cover here at the Mobile Internet Resource Center, there are pros and cons, and Starlink is no exception. Where does Starlink shine?
So Starlink is really fabulous in places where there is no cell signal, obviously. And, the further out you are, there's often places where there is no cellular alternative, or cellular might be very, very weak. And these are, of course, the places where Starlink shines. The contrast to that is more urban areas like where we are now. There is much less reason, much less need for Starlink.
And another great thing about Starlink is because those satellites are moving around the Earth, Starlink really doesn't know borders other than regulatory ones, which means a lot of their roaming data plans allow you to use Starlink across international borders without worrying about roaming limitations. Now, there are sometimes some roaming limitations to stay aware of, but right now there's really not that many to worry about.
So, for example, Starlink then works out really great as a solution for RVers and boaters who are traveling remotely, who are cruisers who are cruising intercoastal waterways and near shore. And there are even plans that will allow you, although they're pricier, to work out on the ocean. So it is a practical solution for a lot of people.
And Starlink is pretty much a plug-and-play solution. It is pretty easy to set up, and you are online. I think the original instructions were aim, turn on, or turn on, aim. It doesn't matter which order. It's pretty easy and simple.
Well, and there's not really even any aiming to do other than making sure it's pointed generally at the sky, because unlike GEO, there's no precise aiming. The satellites auto-aim, and even the early Starlink systems had a little robotic arm to kind of give them a slight bit of aim. Now there's no moving parts at all. It's just have a view of the sky and you're good to go.
And Starlink has a lot of options, both in your data plans and your equipment choices, which means there are choices to make, but there's also a lot of flexibility in how you can assemble Starlink to fit your solution.
Do you want to help keep this channel afloat? Well, you can do that by joining us over at the Mobile Internet Resource Center and become a member. And if membership is not for you, there's easier ways to support us. Just like, subscribe, comment, and share. Share our content, help get out to more people, and that keeps us floating and bringing more connectivity content to you. So Starlink is so great. Well, then why not just get Starlink? Why not have that be your only internet solution? There are some downsides to be aware of.
And the first one is obstructions. The satellites are in the sky, and while there are a lot of them, that dish has to be able to find one of them. That means if you have obstructions overhead, you may have brief cutouts. And this could be trees, it could be masts of a sailing boat next to you, it could be bridges. All sorts of things can block that signal. And for things that buffer, like watching Netflix or Hulu or even YouTube, you're probably not going to notice it. You're going to notice it on interactive two-way things like video broadcasting and video conferencing.
Yes, having cutouts is very annoying. Another place that might be a challenge is extreme weather can affect the signal from space. It's a very weak signal going hundreds of miles. And so heavy rain or snow can degrade or completely drop your Starlink connection in situations that cellular might still be working just fine. So weather is a consideration that impacts Starlink more than it does cellular.
Next, the equipment is large. Now, it's not as large as old satellite internet dishes used to be, but it is larger than cellular. It's going to be larger than a smartphone, a hotspot, or a router. So it is something that you're going to have to store, install, and or lug around. And even the mini dish, even though it's smaller and it is mini, it is larger than other equipment that's out there.
Then next up is Starlink is an asymmetric connection. It has a lot more download capacity than it has upload capacity. So if upload is important to the kind of work or tasks you do online, Starlink might not be the best option for you. Cellular can often run circles, sometimes 10x faster than Starlink, sometimes 20x faster than Starlink on uploads, depending on the area and the sort of coverage you have. So if upload is important, Starlink is definitely something that you might want to supplement with other technologies.
All right, and congestion is an issue with Starlink, especially as they are still building their constellation. That means if you are in a heavily populated area with a whole bunch of other Starlink users, or even a place with a lot of RVers who are congregated in one area, those satellites that are currently over you can become saturated, which means you will have slower speeds on Starlink, sometimes even unusable. And this will be most noticeable on their mobile roam plans because they are the lowest priority on Starlink's network.
Another concern for a lot of RVers and boaters, particularly those who travel off-grid and rely on solar power, is Starlink is a power hog. Not nearly as much as it used to be with the original iterations of the Starlink hardware, but even the Starlink Mini is using substantially more power than a cellular connection would. So having to work Starlink into your RV or boat's power budget is something to keep in mind, and it might not be something you want to have as an always-on connection. It might be something you only power up when you actually need the extra bandwidth of Starlink, and you power it off overnight or rely on something else for your everyday connectivity.
The next is customer service. And Starlink is not known for providing great customer service. Presently, to get any answers from them, you have to open up a ticket via their app or your web portal and then wait for an answer. Sometimes it can be pretty quick. Sometimes it can take days. And this can be an issue if you're not getting service or you're having equipment failures. It may take longer for you to get replacement parts.
And now then another place that Starlink has frustrated consumers from the very beginning is they have a history of making plan changes, and Starlink plans are not contracts, which means they can change the plan on you at any time, and they have a history of raising prices, changing terms, adjusting things, and not always for the better. So if you're hoping to just get something and lock it in forever or for years at a time, Starlink is definitely something that might leave you frustrated as things change and Starlink continues to evolve.
And there's politics. Now, we try to be unbiased here at the Mobile Internet Resource Center and focus on the technical aspects and how the technology impacts your travels. But Starlink has become political because of their CEO, Elon Musk. Some people are choosing to not want to support Elon's businesses, Starlink being amongst them, which means that you may not want Starlink in your arsenal. And for these reasons, we have created a resource guide for the alternatives to Starlink, no matter the reason that you might choose Starlink to not be part of your setup or to minimize your usage with it. So if you're looking for how to optimize for cellular and using Wi-Fi sources or to optimize for those, go check out that guide that we have created. It'll give you a good background and alternatives to go deeper into our content on the other options that are out there.
So, in conclusion, is Starlink going to be your be-all, end-all for mobile internet options? Probably not. Not unless you're sticking to very remote places where clear view of the sky and Starlink is the only option. If you are a general traveler and you're going to a variety of places, you will most likely want to balance Starlink with cellular, perhaps bonding those connections together, or using cellular as your primary and keeping Starlink in reserve to activate only when needed, which you can do with some very affordable, just kind of temporary plans to turn on Starlink only as a when the situation absolutely merits it.
Now, where do you purchase Starlink? At starlink.com. And if you use our referral link, you'll get a free month of service when you activate on residential or Roam Unlimited. And one of our team members will get a free month of service as well, which helps us keep Starlink in circulation. Or you can go purchase through a third party, even like Walmart, Camping World, West Marine, Mobile Must Have. A lot of places are now carrying Starlink. You can get it for the same price and then activate directly with Starlink. Now, if you would like to go further with our Starlink content, there's a lot more to know about Starlink, like which dish to choose, which data plan to go with. We have a bunch of additional resources for that. I would start with our free guide at rvmobileinternet.com/Starlink. We also have a Starlink Resource Center that has a bunch of other guides that go further for our members in giving them some use cases for selecting their data plan, their equipment, powering it, mounting it, and all the accessories that you can get as well with Starlink.
So that basically wraps it up with Starlink. Wherever you go, keep connected out there.
And may the bandwidth be with you.
These videos are brought to you by our premium members, our mobile internet aficionados. They make it possible for us to track this news and create these videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, or better yet, consider becoming a member yourself.